In the swirling mists of time, a name echoes through the ages, conjuring images of chivalry, mystery, and an enduring quest for honor. That name is Arthur. But who was King Arthur? Was he a brave warrior or merely a figment of extraordinary imagination? This question opens the door to the enigmatic legacy of King Arthur, a legacy that has enthralled generations and continues to shape our perception of heroism. Sit back, and as we unveil the intricacies of Arthur's tale, you will discover revelations that will challenge your understanding of what it truly means to be legendary. As we delve deeper, let's ponder this. If Arthur were just a myth, why does his influence resonate so profoundly across cultures and time periods? From the earliest accounts by Geoffrey of Monmouth in the 12th century to the contemporary retellings in movies and literature, King Arthur embodies the archetype of the noble hero, a paragon of virtue in a corrupt world. His adventures with the Knights of the Round Table, his romantic entanglements with Guinevere, and his fateful battles against foes such as Mordred have become the fabric of storytelling itself. But could it be that buried within these tales lies a kernel of truth, perhaps an actual ruler who inspired such elaborate myths? One could argue that Arthur represents not just one person but the collective ideals of the society that tells his stories. Throughout history, the figure of Arthur has been reinterpreted to reflect contemporary values and aspirations. For instance, during the Victorian era, Arthur became a symbol of chivalry and moral rectitude, a stark contrast to the rapid industrialization and moral ambiguities of the time. But could it be more than that? Is there a greater purpose behind Arthur's enduring legacy that resonates with each generation? Now, let's take a step back. What if Arthur's story was not entirely about glory in battle or noble quests? What if, beneath the chivalric surface, we find themes of friendship, sacrifice, and ultimately, the struggle against one's own fate? Consider this: Arthur's rise and fall resonate with humanity's timeless pursuit of hope amid despair. His journey invites us to reflect on our own lives, touching on universal truths like loyalty and betrayal, love and loss. And in this complexity, Arthur's legacy morphs into something remarkable, a mirror reflecting our desires and fears. You might find it interesting to note how different cultures reinterpret Arthurian legends, layering their unique beliefs onto the tale. In Welsh mythology, for instance, the figure of Arthur is akin to a godlike entity, Mab, or the Great One, who embodies the spirit of nature and the heroic age. This shifts our understanding from a mere historical character to an emblem of a nation's identity, their ideals embodied in Arthurian magnetism. As we interrogate the sources that fuel these narratives, we begin to uncover the rich tapestry of history and legend that envelopes our beloved King Arthur. Now, it's time for a twist. What if I told you that historians have uncovered evidence suggesting that King Arthur might indeed have a historical counterpart? Yes, there are claims of a 5th century warlord named Artorius, who led battles against the invading Saxons. This revelation ignites the imagination but also leads us into a web of inquiries. If Artorius was a real figure, how did he evolve into the extraordinary legend of King Arthur? What events shaped his transformation from a local hero into a mythic sovereign of Camelot? Let's take a quick detour. Imagine a world without the Arthurian legends. Picture the absence of timeless tales like Excalibur or the noble quest for the Holy Grail. Sounds dull, doesn't it? The absence of Arthur would not just change literature, it would redefine concepts of heroism and morality throughout the ages. The stories gleaned from Arthur's life, rich in moral complexities and adventures, lay foundational stones for numerous literary genres, influencing everything from fairy tales to high fantasy epics. But herein lies an enigma. What fueled this enduring fascination? Were these stories merely escapism for a troubled society, or do they represent humanity's quest for something beyond themselves? Perhaps there lies a connection to a deep-rooted desire for community and belonging, epitomized in the values of the Round Table, a gathering of knights, each person crucial to the whole. Such an idea resonates profoundly today as we navigate our increasingly complex and often isolating world. This exploration of community invites us to ponder, what would it mean to form our version of the Round Table in contemporary society? Could Arthur's legacy teach us how to forge connections, even amidst our differences? Most intriguingly, will the values he embodies ever become irrelevant? As we dive deeper into the legend, let's illuminate a more shocking facet, the dark undercurrents of betrayal in Arthur's tale. The infidelity between Guinevere and Lancelot, and the devastating conflict between Arthur and his illegitimate son Mordred, serve as a reminder that even the noblest goals can be undermined by treachery. These intricacies remind us that heroism isn't so much about the absence of flaws but about how one responds to those flaws. Arthur's legacy is thus richer and more intricate than a fairy tale of valor. It is a nuanced narrative exploring the complexities of human experience. Now, to maintain your engagement, let's pose a question that often lingers in the shadows. Amidst the grandeur of Camelot and the heroic exploits of its knights, what of the women of the Arthurian legend? Figures like Morgana and Guinevere wield significant power within the narrative, yet their roles are often overshadowed by their male counterparts. This raises an intriguing point. Could the darker aspects of these women's stories serve as cautionary tales about power and ambition? In some retellings, Morgana emerges not merely as Arthur's adversary but as a symbol of feminine agency, wrestling with her own conflicting desires for power, love, and redemption. As we navigate through these character dimensions, it's also important to highlight how the legend serves as a blueprint for moral dilemmas. Arthur's decisions and the consequences thereof are what we wrestle with today, whether in leadership, relationships, or personal choices. What mantle do we choose to take on in our own lives? How do we balance idealism with pragmatic reality? Arthur's struggle might lead us to introspective revelations, a profound takeaway from this enigmatic legacy. Now, let's liven things up. Have you ever considered what the various magical objects in Arthurian tales symbolize? Take the sword Excalibur, for example. While it may merely appear as a weapon, this legendary object represents authority, destiny, and heroic validation. The moment Arthur draws the sword from the stone, it symbolizes the acceptance of his identity, an awe-inspiring feat that sets him on a path toward kingship. The sword in this context isn't just a weapon, it is more like a key to unlocking his fate. What metaphoric swords do we encounter on our journeys? As we approach the climax of our exploration, let's unveil a hidden gem of knowledge. In the 21st century, scholars and enthusiasts alike continue to reevaluate the meanings behind Arthur's story. There are adaptations that infuse modern sensibilities into the age-old tales, presenting them through diverse lenses that speak to contemporary issues such as gender dynamics, ethics and leadership, and the battle between good and evil. Each generation has the chance to reshape Arthur's legacy with insights shaped by its unique societal concerns. Could this ever-evolving narrative be the reason for its perseverance? Just when you thought you understood the essence of Arthur, another layer unfolds, the connection this myth has to actual historical and cultural events. Many historians draw parallels between Arthurian legends and the socio-political climate of Britain during the time of its crafting. This tapestry intertwines with movements, revolutions, and even geographical shifts as Britain emerged from the chaos of the Dark Ages. Therefore, when we narrate the life of King Arthur, we're not just telling a fairy tale, we essentially narrate the saga of mankind's struggle against darkness, ignorance, and division. As we thread through these discoveries, it's essential to acknowledge the emotional gravity intertwined with Arthur's legacy. Each twist, each tragedy does not merely add complexity to the tale but tugs at the human heartstrings. The very essence of heroism lies in the acknowledgement of pain, loss, and fragility. It begs the question, is it possible to truly consider someone a hero if they have never encountered hardship? Arthur's life is rich with scars, both physical and emotional, that reinforce our connection to him as a character ripe with relatability. As we draw towards a conclusion, let's reflect on what has been unveiled thus far. King Arthur's legacy is a complex narrative woven through various threads of history, culture, morality, and human experience. It transcends the bounds of time and reality, allowing subsequent generations to peel back layer upon layer of its meaning. The power of Arthur lies not just in the triumphs and tragedies of his life but in his ability to resonate deeply with the human condition. What remains poignant is this: while Arthur may belong to the past, the values and lessons embedded in his stories are eternally relevant. They beckon us to rise above mediocrity, embrace our failures, and seek our own versions of the Round Table. How do we strive for greatness and goodness against adversity? What real-world impact can legends like Arthur have on our lives today? The journey of understanding King Arthur is an awakening, a call to arms for souls seeking purpose and meaning. It is an invitation to explore our vulnerabilities while finding strength in the community and ideals of honor. As you turn this last page, may you carry forth not just the story of King Arthur but also the enlightenment of his legacy, the call to awaken the hero in you. Explore your own legendary path, embody the values you admire, and always remember, the epic isn't confined to the pages of history, it lives within each of us. So, the question lingers, poised on the horizon of your thoughts. What legacy do you choose to leave behind as you embrace the enigma that is life? The legacy of King Arthur shines as a beacon, perhaps guiding you toward your own Camelot, ringing with laughter and camaraderie, filled with quests that matter, and most importantly, anchoring you in the rich tapestry of the human experience. Is that not the greatest legacy of all?